What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Friday, December 29th edition of the NBA Lineup Generator video. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And we have an 8-game slate tonight on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Both sites cut the 2 late games off, so we went from 10 games to 8. The 2 late games are available on the main slate, but they won't be covered in this video. We're just going to take a look at the main slate for both sites. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a like. If you're watching on Twitter, give it a like as well. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get an alert when our shows go live. We are going to walk through DraftKings and FanDuel using the lineup generator to take an early look at how the slates look, how we can approach them. I do not recommend using these lineups when the slate starts in 5+ hours. Things are going to change. We're waiting on a lot of injury news for the Celtics in particular, and plenty of other injury news as well. But this will take an early look at how we can approach these slates, what players are showing up. And I do highly recommend, if you don't use it already, that you sign up using the link in the description below. $14.95 per week gets you access to this tool. You can use the updated information all the way up until lock to improve your DFS process. Now, starting on the DraftKings side, I'm going to choose contrarian lineups and not lock anyone in. And then we get to our lineups page where you can see the total salary, fantasy projection, and ownership projection for the lineup and for each individual player. At the bottom, you can also see the sliding scales, which tell you how the lineup compares in projection and ownership to your alternatives. That is what is really important, because obviously a fantasy point projection and an ownership projection by themselves can be interesting to look at, but they don't actually mean anything without the context of the slate. These sliders down here at the bottom give you that context. And then here you have your lineup where you can see all the information that you want about the players in your lineup. And you do have the ability to customize the lineup as well on the right-hand side over here with these arrows. If you get a lineup that you like most of it, but there's 1 or 2 players you don't like, let's say you don't like Cole Anthony, you can use the arrows over here on the right-hand side. Click those. It'll pull up every point guard eligible player. And then you scroll down, you can see that you have $6,200 to spend. So you scroll down and say you want the Anthony Melton instead of Anthony. You would click these arrows over here, and the Anthony Melton would be swapped into your lineup in place of Cole Anthony. So you don't have to keep scrolling through lineups until you find one that you love every single piece. If you like the foundation of a lineup and there's just 1 or 2 pieces you dislike, you can very easily swap those pieces around. And then all you're going to do is, if you like the lineup, you click save. If you dislike it, you click discard, and you can move up to 20 lineups from here to DraftKings or FanDuel, whichever site you're playing, using the CSV feature. So I'm going to save the first 20 lineups we get, and then we can look at the exposures that we're getting right now. And over here on the right-hand side, you have a very useful table that lays out all of your player exposures right here for you. And this is really helpful because if you're playing, say, 20 lineups, you're not going to be able to manually track how much of every single player that you're getting. No matter how hard you try, it's going to be a pain. So once you get to this screen, maybe you look and you're really comfortable with everything that you have, or maybe there's 1 or 2 players that you're getting more than you would like. Let's say that you don't want 40% Kenrich Williams, you want 30%. You could go through the lineups and use the arrows like I showed you before, or you could simply click his name in this table. It will turn yellow. It will highlight all of your Kenrich Williams lineups, and then you can decide which ones you like the least. Go in, delete those, and then go back to the previous screen by clicking Get More Lineups and select 2 lineups that do not have Kenrich Williams. That will lower your exposure to where you want it to be. The thing to keep in mind here is that every lineup you're being presented with is a lineup that we project to be profitable in the long run. That's how this tool works. It is using our player projections, ownership projections, and simulation models on the back end to do all of the legwork for you. And then it's presenting you with lineups that we project to be profitable. So what you really need to manage, the only thing you really need to manage, is your personal risk tolerance, your exposure to players. Because if you do look at this screen and you do decide that you have, for example, more Williams than you wanted, you can replace him with other profitable lineups. It's not like you are getting negative lineups by removing Kenrich Williams. You have essentially infinite lineups to choose from. And so if you don't want 40% of your money to involve Kenrich Williams, it doesn't have to. So very easy to make that adjustment and tinker around with your player exposures until you are comfortable with everything that you're getting. So we can see right now we're getting to 50% Bogdan Bogdanovic. That is a lot, but he does look like a solid contrarian play tonight. He's a perfect example too of, you could very easily just look at this and say, look, I understand he's a good contrarian play. I don't need 50% of the money that I've put in play to involve him, so I'm going to lower him. But he does grade out as a good contrarian option, as does Alperen Şengün. He's showing up 40% of the time for us, projected for, I believe, around 16% ownership. Paul Reed, coming off of a massive 31.5-minute game last time out, he is still very risky because he does foul a lot. He does have a tendency to get in foul trouble, but he's also only $5,300. He's showing up 40% of the time. Kelly Oubre at $5,800, showing up 35% of the time. His usage has been down recently, which is a bit concerning, but the salary is inexpensive as well. We have Jayshawn Tate at 30%. No Dylan Brooks again tonight. Tate is likely to be in the starting lineup. We also may not have Tari Eason, who's questionable. If he's out, Tate's playing time looks even better. We already know Jabari Smith is out as well. Kenrich Williams showing up 30% now that I lowered him. There's nothing special about Williams. He's just $3,500. As the day goes on, rather, he probably starts to disappear because we're going to have better value open up. But with the information we have right now, he looks like not even a good play, just somebody that opens up stuff elsewhere in your lineups. Same can be said for Dorian Finney-Smith. He does have a very good matchup at 4,700 tonight against the Wizards. Nikola Jokic, 11,200, showing up 25% of the time. Aaron Gordon remains out for Denver. Jokic has seen a nice rebounding bump without Aaron Gordon, both this season and since the start of last season. So he does look a little bit better with Gordon out. Tobias Harris, always going to look good without Joel Embiid. Dante DiVincenzo showing up 25%. That's something that I could take it or leave it. Not a very exciting play. Probably disappears as we get more news. Jalen Suggs, 5,800. No Gary Harris again tonight. Should mean more playing time for Suggs. He's 25% owned and very reasonably priced. And then Trey Lyles has picked up power forward eligibility on DraftKings, and his salary dropped to 3,800. Our interest level in him also will probably drop a bit as the day goes on. But with that power forward eligibility, he does look like a pretty good value. So he's showing up 25% of the time. Now we can switch over and take a look at FanDuel. And as a reminder, try this tool out for yourself using the link in the description below. If you're watching on Twitter, I will tweet the link below this video as well. It's only $14.95 per week. It's the most cost-effective way to get access to our projections, our models, all of our data. And we developed it with the lower volume, single entry, 3-max, 20-max player in mind. We know it can be very difficult to break into DFS and make a profit because data is expensive. And to win at DFS, and in particular NBA DFS, you need access to quality data. So it can kind of create a situation where the data is, you need the data to win, but if you're paying for the data, you're spending more money than you're playing at DFS, and it's still impossible for you to win. So we created this with you in mind, $14.95 per week. It is a price point that should allow you to profit. It should improve your DFS performance. And again, it is the most cost-effective way to get access to our player projections, ownership projections, and simulation models. It uses all of those tools on the back end to present you with quality lineups. Now, looking at FanDuel, once again, going to choose contrarian lineups and not lock anyone in. And I'm going to save the first 20 lineups that we get here, and we can take a look at the exposures over here. So Jayshawn Tate, only 3,800 on FanDuel. Looked like a good value on DraftKings. He's an even better value on FanDuel. He's showing up 75% of the time. Jalen Suggs, same price on FanDuel as DraftKings. That generally is an indicator that someone's going to be a good play on FanDuel as well. He's showing up 55% for us. We're getting to Peyton Watson, 40%. He's $4,400. He started in place of Aaron Gordon yesterday, likely to start in his place again tonight. Small forward, Kelly Oubre, 5,900, showing up 40%, along with Tari Eason. Tari Eason, as I mentioned on the DraftKings side, is questionable tonight, but if he plays, he looks good. We have no Jabari Smith. We have no Dylan Brooks. Eason should play a lot of minutes, and he is a very good point-per-minute fantasy producer, well over a fantasy point per minute this season. Paul Reed, 5,900, showing up 35% of the time for us. Bogdanovich at 7K, still showing up 35%, so we're getting to him a lot, even at the higher price tag. It is a very good game environment against Sacramento. Tyrese Maxey, only 8,400. He's a strong contrarian play on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's more of a core piece at 8,400. Very inexpensive salary, 30% ownership. Julius Randle showing up 30% as well at 8,700, along with Malik Monk, who is only 5,300 in that appealing game against the Hawks. And then we're rounding things out with 25% Franz Wagner and Cameron Johnson. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for checking out the video. Don't forget to sign up using the links in the description below to try this tool out for yourself. Enjoy your weekend, and good luck on your lineups tonight.